weeks you're with us. Cruise Holidays of Viera.
Pull up a deck chair and sit back, relax. It's time for your favorite cruise hour. You're on board, just cruising. Whether you're dreaming of your first cruise or planning your next one, join Larry Jackson as he explores the magical world of cruising. To launch today's cruise, here's Larry Jackson.
Good morning. Aloha, e como mai, and welcome aboard. I'm Larry Jackson, owner of Cruise Holidays of Viera, and I'll be your cruise director for this week's edition of our radio magazine that's all about the magical world of travel. So glad you could be with us this morning. Thanks for sharing a part of your Saturday morning with us. Before we get started with the news of the week from the world of travel, a couple of program notes I'd like to tell you about. First of all, Linda and I are departing tomorrow on the Oasis of the Seas, and this is we're going to be escorting 278 folks on the Knit and Stitch cruise. We're going to have a great time. 7-day cruise to the Western Caribbean aboard one of my favorite ships in the whole world, the Oasis of the Seas. Our folks that are signed up with the Knit and Stitch Boutique up in Cocoa are going to be conducting classes on board. We've got the conference rooms and different places around the ship set up for them to hold knitting classes, and they're going to have fashion shows and yarn tasting and cocktail parties and all kinds of fun for 7 days. We have people coming from literally all over the world, South Africa, almost every state in the Union, 278 folks on our cruise. And so we're looking forward to that and making sure everybody has a great time and comes home safely with us. And so next week's show, because we won't be back in time to record a show for next Saturday, we don't get back until a week from tomorrow, will be a best of show. Second program note I wanted to remind you of is that you can now watch Just Cruising as well as listen to it, and you can do that in a couple of ways. The best way is to do it at the YouTube channel where we're putting up every show after we have recorded it. And to do that, all you have to do is go to our webpage, which is viera.cruiseholidays.com. And if you'll scroll down, keep going, you'll see some big red letters that say subscribe, and click that, and that'll take you to our YouTube channel. Once you're there, you'll see a Just Cruising logo of our podcast logo. But if you'll look in the right-hand corner, there's a little subscribe button. And if you click that, it'll let you subscribe to our channel, and then you can see the videos that we have posted up there. We have a couple of shows up there. We'll hopefully have 3 or 4 as we go along. And we'd love for you to subscribe and actually watch the show so that you can become one of our fans on YouTube in case you enjoy watching instead of just listening on the radio. So that's a couple of program notes. Of course, we always are available to you on iHeartRadio via the app, the iHeart app, which I'll be listening to on the ship to listen to our show, and I'll be listening to Bill Mick and Rush Limbaugh and everybody right there because the Wi-Fi now is so good on ships. I can just bring up the iHeart app. It's 24/7. You don't have to pay for it by the minute anymore. You don't have to sign in and sign out. And then I'll be able to listen to WMMB while I'm out there on the high seas. Also, our podcasts are available there on our webpage, too, for you. So lots of different ways to get on board with Just Cruising, and we're so glad you chose to do that this morning. All right, continuing on, let's look at the world of cruising. We're going to continue on with our updates for you for the recovery efforts that are going on in the Caribbean following our 2 hurricanes that we had down there in September and October. The first announcement we had this week is that the Royal Caribbean Adventure of the Seas will call on St. Thomas on November 10th. So St. Thomas will get her first cruise ship on November 10th. However, Carnival says that their company ships won't return to St. Thomas until January of 2018. So not sure quite why, but Christine Duffy, Carnival's president, recently announced November 30th as the company's resumption of calls to San Juan, Puerto Rico. Now, Royal Caribbean is already going to San Juan, Puerto Rico, so Carnival is going to go back there on November 30th. And Duffy says that they will be back in Grand Turks and Caicos in less than 2 weeks, whatever that means. Royal Caribbean is opting to return to St. Thomas next month following company's executives tours of the island's port facilities, infrastructure, shopping areas, and attractions. Beverly Nicholson Doty, the U.S. Virgin Islands Tourism Commissioner, said downtown stores are expected to be open for business on November 10th. Based on an assessment last week, this is the status of the Virgin Islands. 11 St. Croix beaches, 6 on St. Tom, and 5 on St. John were deemed safe for swimming. She said over the coming weeks, 20 to 25 ships calls will follow Royal Caribbean's November 10th arrival into St. Thomas. Here's a quote from the tourism commissioner. She said, welcoming cruise visitors back to the U.S. Virgin Islands is key to our economic recovery. And on another note about the recovery, Royal Caribbean is putting their resources to work. They're actually helping. They're pretty much completely funding the cleanup of Magens Bay in St. Thomas. Apparently, it was really severely damaged. The article says during the 1-2 punch of Hurricanes Irma and Maria, surging waters carved a steep shelf across the length of Magens Bay, once gentle slope. Lines of sea grapes along the shoreline were uprooted. Debris from toppled trees and the shattered concession building, benches, and bathroom were scattered across the beach into the shallows of the bay. Royal Caribbean has partnered with Magens Bay Authority, the autonomous instrumentality of the Virgin Islands government that manages Magens and other local contracts, to meet a November 10th deadline for restoring the beach to destination status. So I thought that was interesting. Royal Caribbean is contributing resources and money to the cleanup effort and to the revitalization of St. Thomas and the other Caribbean destinations. Well, if you're joining us for the first time here on Just Cruising, we want to tell you that our show is brought to you each week by Cruise Holidays of Viera, and we are a boutique vacation planning store located in the Suntree area. The store is owned by myself and my lovely and gracious wife, Linda Jackson. And together, we form a wonderful team of folks that will be there to help you plan your next vacation. The best way to visit us is on our website, which is viera.cruiseholidays.com. And when you go there, there's all kinds of information. There's information about our specials. There's information about our escorted tours. There's you can find out what you need to know about passports, visas, even if you want to look at different destinations. All of that's available for you. And you can also download our app there, which is free of charge. And we'll send you, if you let us, we'll send you notifications about specials and sales that are going on. All of that's available at viera.cruiseholidays.com. You can also call Cruise Holidays of Viera at 321-242-1331. Well, back to the news of the world of travel this week. FAA is continuing to put pressure on airlines and the world to ban large electronic devices like laptops from being transported in checked bags. Now, here's what's going on. Those types of devices, laptops in specific, have rechargeable lithium-ion batteries. And the FAA has been conducting some tests lately where they take those laptops and they put them next to a combustible type of a material, such as a spray, an aerosol spray, or hand sanitizer with alcohol in it, or what else? Nail polish remover. And then what happens is when there's a heat source near it, it causes those devices, those types of containers to basically explode and catch on fire. They're very worried that a fire is going to start very quickly in the cargo hold because the temperature down there maybe rises for some reason, and the fire starts so fast that the fire suppression system doesn't detect it. It causes an explosion, and we lose an airplane. Now, we have lost, I didn't realize this, that we have lost 3 cargo jets have been destroyed and 4 pilots were killed by fires that were ignited by lithium-ion batteries. So it's a very, I think, sincere thing that they're doing. They're not just trying to make us inconvenience. Well, here's the band. We're at our first port of call. We're running ashore for a shore excursion, so please stay right where you are and return with us. We'll be talking about American cruise lines, very interesting cruise lines. I think you'll enjoy this, so come on back and join us.
This is Just Cruising on 1240 and 1350 WMMB. Here's Larry.
Hi there, we're back, and thanks so much for being with us. Really appreciate it. We value all of you, our listeners, and we really appreciate it when you come and see us and book your vacations, and we appreciate it when you refer your friends and family to us. That's very, very special to us. We take really good care of those. Well, we take great care of everybody, but really appreciate when you do referrals to us, and we're very appreciative of that. Thank you so much. Well, let's look at a little bit of the news before we talk about American Cruise Lines. Once again, Southwest is in the news about potentially going to Hawaii. This is one of the world's longest ongoing airline stories. This started back in 2010 when Southwest Airlines applied for what is known as, now this is bureaucracy, it's called an Extended Operations Service Authorization from the FAA. And what this means is it allows you to take basically two-engine airplanes, which I'm not really crazy about, and fly them to Hawaii. This started in 2010, so everybody's been speculating ever since 2010. The Southwest is going to go to Hawaii, and when Southwest goes to Hawaii, the airline prices are going to drop right through the floor, and it's going to be spectacular. Well, this week, Southwest said that they are likely to start flying to Hawaii in the latter half of 2018. However, they didn't announce any dates. They didn't announce any schedules. They didn't announce any departure points. Now, the speculation is that they're going to begin flying out of California airports, because I didn't realize this. Did you know that Southwest is the largest, they fly the most flights and the most passengers out of California than any other airline. I thought that was kind of interesting. I never thought about that, but they are. So speculation is they're going to be going out of Oakland or San Jose or Phoenix or Las Vegas. But again, we don't know when. Right now, the largest airliner or aircraft company or air carrier that goes into Hawaii is United, and they've got 28% of the market out there. Also, so we still don't know that much more about Southwest going to Hawaii. However, most people are thinking it's really not going to lower fares that much, maybe initially as an introduction, but then after that, things will float back up. Hawaii, again, as is so much the case of Hawaii, and it's really sad, Linda and I lived out there a long time, but the airfares going to Hawaii are much higher than they would be to any other market. And it's not because of lack of aircraft, and it's not because of demand. It's just because the airlines keep the prices way up. And so they don't think that Southwest entry into that market is going to make that much difference in the airfares. It's just like the shipping costs to Hawaii are much higher than they are any place else in the world. And that's because a lot of people get involved taking the parts out of the pot, and so Hawaii suffers because of it. Then there is the speculation that if Southwest lowers the airfares to Hawaii, they're going to raise the hotel prices. So, you're not going to win. Anyway, one of the reasons I want to bring this up is to remind you that Cruise Holidays of Vieira has a subsidiary known as Hawaii Boutique Escapes. And what we do is that we plan using our very unique knowledge of the Hawaiian Islands, not only for having lived there a long time, but for visiting there every single year. Our family still lives there. We have 2 grandchildren that live in Honolulu. So we go and visit Hawaii and see what's going on and keep up to speed on all the different things, the hotels, the tours, all the things that are going on in Hawaii. So when you're planning or thinking about going to Hawaii, you want to be sure and call us at Cruise Holidays of Vieira, 321-242-1331. We'll plan a vacation for you, whether it's the 7-day cruise around the islands on the Pride of America Norwegian Cruise Line ship, whether it's going over to the Big Island and getting a condo for a week and just exploring all the different things there are to see on Hawaii's Big Island, the island of Hawaii, which we'll talk about a little bit later on in the show. We'll do all of that for you with great attention to detail, and that's what you get at Cruise Holidays of Vieira. Our website is vieira.cruiseholidays.com. Just put that in the Google or up in the address box, and it'll take you right there, and there's some amazing things going on our webpage. Well, over the years, Linda and I, when cruising, we've been cruising a lot over the last 14 years that we've been in business. And one of the things that we have really fallen in love with is cruising in America. And I know everybody talks about cruising in Europe. They talk about the Rhine River and the Danube, and they're great. They're fun. But I think we really overlook the magnificence of this country and what a great time you can have cruising these rivers, these scenic rivers that we have in the United States. And we have a couple of cruise lines that do that. One is the American Queen Steamboat Company, and they have three boats currently, and they're going to have 4 soon. And they go on the Mississippi River, the Ohio River. They have boats out west on the Columbian Snake River, and so that's one of our American cruise lines. The other one is an outfit called American Cruise Lines, and they don't get a lot of attention. But I think that's sad because it is a magnificent cruise line, and they do some really phenomenal cruises. For instance, I know you've heard me tell you this before, but they do a cruise that doesn't leave the state of Hawaii or Florida. It starts in Amelia Island and cruises all through the St. Johns River and doesn't leave the state of Florida. So that's American Cruise Lines. Now, this week, Travel Pulse, which is one of our trade magazines in the industry, did an interview with them. And I wanted to share some of it with you so you get a little feel of what this cruise line is like. This is the American Cruise Lines. They interviewed a lady called Susan Schultz-Gelino, and she's the director of sales. And Travel Pulse magazine asked her, she said, they asked her, what sets American Cruise Lines apart from other brands? And she said, we are the largest cruise line in the U.S. Our fleet of 100 to 200 passenger ships, that's 200 passengers on a ship, not 200 ships, are new and custom designed. They are not refurbished casino or dinner ships. Our ships are all U.S. made, U.S. staffed, and U.S. flagged. Well, that's good because you have to do that because of the Jones Act to be able to cruise in the United States. They are fully stabilized with Rolls-Royce stabilizers for maximum guest comfort. American Cruise Lines has both coastal cruisers and authentic paddle wheels in our fleet. And some of the coastal cruises they do are up in New England, where they actually do cruises that don't leave Cape Cod. They do cruises down the coastal areas to places like Jekyll Island, Savannah, Charleston, even Washington, D.C. They do cruises up on the Hudson River. They do them all over. So this is the American Cruise Lines. She continues on. American Cruise Lines has the largest staterooms in the river cruise industry and the largest staterooms in the American market as a whole. Staterooms are thoughtfully designed, including furnished balconies with sliding glass doors. Our ships also have no inside staterooms, which allows our staterooms to be larger. We cruise only in North America with over 35 itineraries to 30 states. American Cruise Line curates each itinerary by incorporating onboard historians and experts, guided shore excursions, and, if I can get this over, regionally inspired cuisine. American Cruise Lines appeals to an older, sophisticated traveler. Our guests are more interested in our enriching cultural experiences and less interested in pools, buffets, and casinos. Why should someone consider an American river cruise over a European one? Now, I have the answer to this. I don't need her interview. I think there are a lot of reasons. One, it's a lot easier to get to the ship. Some of them you can actually even drive to. It's not that bad a drive from Melbourne over to New Orleans if you want to take a Mississippi River cruise. And even if you have to fly, going to places like St. Louis or Cincinnati or Memphis or Minneapolis to catch these river boats is a lot simpler than flying to Budapest or Prague. You don't need a passport for these cruises, and you don't need visas. You don't have to go through all kinds of security to get on these American river boats. So I think it is a more relaxing type of cruise also because you're going to these little small towns. Honestly, there isn't a whole lot to see there, and that's the refreshing part about it because then you can go back and relax on these magnificent boats. And whether it's American Cruise Lines or American Queen Steamboat, they are magnificent. She goes on to say, many guests find a deep personal interest in exploring American history and geography. They can see firsthand the things they have learned in elementary school and heard or read about over the course of a lifetime. And when we price out the riverboats in America and compare them to the European riverboats, when we take into account the additional cost of the airfare to go to Europe, these they come out exactly the same. And they offer beer and wine at dinner, just like the European riverboats do. They offer excursions included in the price. And some of them, like American Queen, also include a pre-cruise or a post-cruise hotel night included in the fare also. So there's a lot included, just the same as there are the river cruises in Europe. There's a lot included there. I'm not saying Europe river cruises are bad. I'm just saying that if you have taken a European river cruise or you don't like some of the negatives of a European river cruise, consider taking an American river cruise or even an American coastal cruise. We'll be happy to make that happen for you at Cruise Holidays of Viera, 321-242-1331. All right, band's here. We're running ashore, and please don't go anywhere. When we come back, I want to talk some more about Hawaii and the island of Hawaii, the Big Island. We'll be right back.
You know you want to take that cruise. Call the Cruise Holidays of Viera office now at 321-242-1331 or toll free at 866-291-1331.
Hi there, and welcome back. Just a reminder that our show is now up on YouTube, and if you'd like to watch us as well as listen to us, we'd sure like to have you join us there on YouTube. And we got a great fast way for you to get there, and that's to go to Viera.cruiseholidays.com. Scroll down till you see the red letters that say subscribe. Click on those letters. It'll take you to our YouTube homepage. Click the subscribe button up in the right-hand corner there, and that'll take you, they'll walk you through some steps to subscribe to us, and then it'll take you to our videos of Just Cruising that we are producing for you here. Okay. There is an island in the Hawaiian chain that has the same name as the Hawaiian chain. It's called Hawaii. And so that we don't get it confused, over the years in Hawaii, it's become known as the Big Island. And it's obviously that way for a reason. It is one of the most fascinating places on earth, I think, that you can ever visit. And it's right here in your backyard. And it's part of the United States, which makes it even neater. When we cruise on the Pride of America, the 7-day cruise round trip out of Honolulu, which is a magnificent way to see 4 different islands, we actually spend 2 days on the Big Island of Hawaii. The first day, on Tuesday, we call on Hilo, which is down in the southeastern part of the state, or the island there. And that's the day. Hilo is about a 45-minute drive from the Hawaii Volcanoes National Park. And that is a fascinating place. Hilo's a fascinating place. But so we spend most of our day that day going up to the volcanoes. That night, the ship cruises around to the western end of the island. Along the way, about, around 9 or 10 o'clock, the ship passes the lava flows that are coming out of the active volcano at Kilauea, and that can be seen from the ocean. You can see the red ribbons coming down to the ocean, and so they cruise by there at night, so everybody gets a view of that. And then the next morning, on Wednesday morning, they arrive offshore of Kona, which is the other major town on the island of Hawaii. And then we spend the day. What we do personally at Cruise Holidays of Viera is we take you up the North Kohala coast and up to the middle of the island and back down, so you can see Mauna Loa and the peaks of Mauna Loa and Mauna Kea. The Big Island is fascinating for a lot of different reasons. It has 5 volcanoes, one of which is actively erupting and has been since 1983. That's Kilauea. Hawaii has 11 of the 13 climate zones that exist in the world. That means climate zones are things like deserts, there are mountaintops with snow, there are rainforest, and you can see 11 of 13 of those on one place, in one place on the earth, which is on the Big Island of Hawaii. I think you have to go to like 7 or 8 different countries to be able to do that except there. You can leave the sunshine of 84-degree temps on the beach and arrive in snowfall at the 15,000-foot elevation of Mauna Kea, all in a matter of an hour and a half. You can lay on the beach in Hawaii on the Big Island and look up at snow. I don't know of any place else in the world that you can do that. You can go to a black sand beach and a green sand beach on the island of Hawaii. You can go up to the Volcano National Park and see active lava caldera. You can see steam and carbon dioxide spewing out of the volcano and see the earthquakes that are going on during the eruption. You can go to the southernmost point in the United States, which is South Point. All of these are the things that you can do on the Big Island of Hawaii. I recommend, if you've been to Hawaii before and you want to go back for another trip, that you consider going over to the Big Island. And now you can take flights directly in from California into Kona and land right there. You don't have to go through Honolulu. And I say consider going over to the Big Island and spending a week. There is so much for you to do over there. Some of the most magnificent golf courses in the world. These golf courses are carved out of lava fields. So what you see is you see the bright green fairway and traps, and immediately next door to them, right next door, are black lava fields. I mean, the views are just magnificent. You can go on hikes. You can go up to the 16,000-foot elevation. You can kayak. You can surf. The beaches are not all that great for swimming because it's a new island and the beaches haven't all formed. But please consider going to the Big Island of Hawaii and taking a vacation. I think you will really be amazed at all the contrast and the diversity that you're going to see on that island. Honestly, it's great to see it on a couple of days on a cruise ship, but the best way to see it is to go over there. Maybe go over to Waikoloa. If you've ever watched Wheel of Fortune, when they do their Hawaii show, that's where they do their show out on the lawn there at Waikoloa. All of those different events on the Big Island we can make happen for you at Cruise Holidays of Viera. Call us, please, at 321-242-1331. And also visit our website at viera.cruiseholidays.com. It's a great place to go, and you can see pick up some shows that maybe you hadn't seen in a while, or you missed completely because you got interrupted. All right, let's go back to what I was looking at this week on the computer monitor and some things that caught my attention. One of the things I want to talk to you about is airfare. Now, we will help you with airfare at Cruise Holidays of Viera. We normally do it in conjunction with getting to or from a cruise, and we do charge a fee for airfare because unlike the cruise lines, the airlines do not pay commissions. We tried working for free, and it just didn't work out, so we do charge a fee, a modest fee for helping you with airfare. And by the way, the reason that you don't pay any more when you book a cruise at Cruise Holidays of Viera than you would pay if you went directly on the internet with the cruise lines is because the cruise lines pay us those commissions, and they want us to be in business because they want us to sell you cruises. It's very simple. One of the things that I want you to consider when you're booking air, and this is one of the reasons that you might want to consider coming to us, is to watch the airport connections that are up on the web now. Now, here's what happens. When you fly out of Orlando, it is very difficult to go anywhere in the world out of Orlando without having to stop. There are almost no nonstops to anywhere, with a few exceptions such as New York City, Chicago, but it's very difficult to go anywhere out of Orlando. And of course, Melbourne, we have to go out, we have to stop in Atlanta or Charlotte, so we're always going to have a connection leaving out of Melbourne. So what I want you to do is to be aware if you're doing your own air of these connection times in these different airports, because what the airlines do is they have a minimum standard connection time in different airports. What they are, you don't know, but the only way you find out is when you go online to book. If you book with the same airline, they're going to have built in those minimum times. But let me warn you, some of those minimum times are 30 minutes in Atlanta. And there's many, many times, and they say, okay, book with the same airline, and then you'll be in the same terminal. I've many times been in Atlanta, especially like going overseas or going to Hawaii, where we come in on one terminal and we go out 5 terminals away. So it can be more than a 30-minute hike and ride on terminals. So be very careful about these connection times. And what you're going to find is when you're researching this air, with the shorter the ground time, the cheaper the airfare. And so they're trying to lure you into these cheaper airfares. What we do at Cruise Holidays of Viera, we use, especially for the main airports. Now, if it's a small airport, we may fudge on this a little bit. But for the main airports, we allow an hour and a half between arrival and departure of your next flight. And that's if you're just standard going through on a domestic flight. If you're connecting to come back into the United States, let's say you're flying into JFK and then you're connecting to come down to Orlando, we try to book between 2.5 to 3 hours, because in some of our airports now, when you come back and you clear customs, you leave the terminal and you have to go back through security to get back to the terminal that's going to take you to Orlando or Melbourne or Charlotte or Atlanta. So you have to be very, very careful with these connection times that the airlines are advertising. And they may say 30 minutes is enough time in Atlanta, but it's not. Here's a couple of tips to remember, not only to book extra ground times, and don't be lured by those low fares. The second thing to remember is don't book the last flight of the day as your last connection, because you miss it and you're there for the evening until the next day. It may seem obvious, but people do it. Again, the airfares are going to be lower if you do it that way. Book with the same airline, if at all possible, or with a code share airline or an alliance airline. In other words, they all reciprocate. They have an obligation that if you miss the connection, to put you on the next flight if you have booked with the same airline or the same alliance. Do not buy 2 tickets. Don't buy one ticket from Orlando to Chicago and another ticket from Chicago to Vancouver. If you do that, then they have no obligation to put you on the next connecting air flight. Third tip I'm going to give you on booking air: buy travel insurance. If you buy it through us, we sell you a policy called Travel Guard, and it contains missed connection coverage. And missed connections can allow you, if they can't get you out on the next plane and you have to spend the night, they will cover some of your expenses to go to a hotel, even for meals and things like that, or they may cover expenses to rebook you on another airline. There are a lot of reasons that you miss connections, and one of them can be because you planned it poorly and didn't allow enough time for connections. Also, don't forget about weather in these different airports. A lot of thunderstorms in Atlanta in the summertime in June that can cause you to not arrive or not take off on time. All right, we are at our last port of call, and we've got one more segment of Just Cruising to share with you, and we can't wait to do that. So please stay right where you are, and we're coming right back at you.
Larry's back with Just Cruising here on 1240 and 1350 WMMB.
Hi there. Hi. Welcome back. Little ukulele music. But it is there. You know what ukulele means in Hawaiian? It means dancing flea. Because when the Hawaiians first saw the ukulele, when it came over with the Spanish cowboys, which they called paniolos because they couldn't pronounce Espanol, so it came out paniolo. Anyway, it looked to them like little fleas dancing on the strings of the instrument, so that's why ukulele got its name. And by the way, there is a fantastic ukulele shop in Hawaii, downtown Honolulu, called Kanaka's. that if you ever get the chance to visit, they make koa wood ukuleles there. They start around, I don't know, $400 or $500, but they are magnificent. Okay, hey, here on Just Cruising, the show is brought to you each week by a travel agency. And obviously, we would like to encourage you to use a travel agent when you book your vacations, whether it's a land tour, whether it's a cruise, whether it's a vacation rental, those types of things. We would like for you to use a travel agent. And we would particularly like you to use us at Cruise Holidays of Viera, because we think we are the best in the business because we're small. We travel a lot, we have a lot of experience, and we spend a lot of time educating ourselves and keeping up to speed on what's going on in the whole world. I mean, the whole world. So I wanted to tell you some reasons that you might not thought of to use a travel agent when you book your next vacation. Life is busier and more demanding than ever, and vacation time is more valuable. We often here on Just Cruising do read articles to you about how many vacation days Americans don't take. We in the United States, I think, lead the world in vacation days that we give back to our companies or we don't take. And because we are so driven to perform for whatever reason. Those of you who have kids or grandchildren know that their routines are much busier than ever with soccer and camps and music and dance and gymnastics and all those other things. So life has become a lot more complicated. And to me, that makes vacations that much more valuable because that's the time to get out there, see something new, recharge the batteries, do nothing, whatever is your desire, and step back and take a look at life. And I think that's what travel does for us. It allows us to get out of our routine, get out of our daily habits, and look at the world in a different perspective. And it changes your view of the world, and it changes the view of your life. There is no do-over for a vacation gone wrong. Travel agents can help you achieve the vacation you desire because, they listen, suggest, adjust, understand, and become a friend. We at Cruise Holidays of Viera really feel invested in your vacation because we want it to be a success because we care about you. We care about you, and we not only that, but we hope that you're going to enjoy our services and that you're going to recommend our services to other folks. And that's how we build our business, and that's how we stay in business. We add the human element to your vacation. If you sit there and go online and research all these websites, all you're doing is getting a lot of information, and there's nobody there to tell you the fabric, the feel of what's going on. You're looking at kind of sterile information that's coming to you across on that web page. When you call an 800 number, you're going to get a person, and maybe they're going to connect with you, and maybe you're going to feel like you've got the human element involved. But when you call back, you're not going to get that same person again. Using a travel agency, and specifically using Cruise Holidays of Viera, you're going to get that human element of someone who remembers, hey, they like this or they don't like this. Those, I think, things are important. And the other part of a human element, before you hit the enter button and spend $12,000 or $14,000 or $15,000 or even $2,000 or $3,000 on a vacation, wouldn't it be nice to get a second opinion that doesn't cost you anything? Just saying, hey, you made the right decision. This is the right cruise lines for you. This is the right time to go. This is the right airline. This is the right connections. All of those things. Wouldn't it be nice just to have that second opinion? Well, that's what you get at Cruise Holidays of Viera or when you book with a travel agency. Trips are more complicated than ever because more and more people are doing multifamily vacations, either family cruises or couples getting together to go over to Europe and do river cruises. And when you get more than two people involved, it gets more complicated. And that's where a travel agency can really come in handy. We have the software, we have the tools, we have the ability to communicate with everybody all at once. You don't have to worry about it. We can create the emails and send them to your group. We can create the quotes for each different party in your group because one family might want an inside cabin and another one want a grand suite. All of those things can be done by an agency that makes it very, very smooth. And you know what? Takes all the stress out of it for you. You don't have to be, and not only that, but if you're traveling in a group with a family and something goes wrong, who's going to get blamed, the ringleader, and you can always fall back on the travel agency to share some of that blame with you. The world is constantly changing. Developments are happening all over the place as we relay to you have been for the last few weeks. Things are changing in the Caribbean after our hurricanes. What's going on in Cuba with the travel ban, or is it still safe? Can you go to Cuba? Where's the best place to view the Northern Lights? These are changing things that are happening, and we are in the business. It is our job to keep up with the changes that are going on in the travel world. At Cruise Holidays of Viera, not only do we spend our own money to get out there and experience the world so that we can bring that back to you. It makes all the difference in the world when I have been to a hotel in London, and I can tell you, you go across the street and 2 blocks down and you'll be at Buckingham Palace, versus you're going to have to take a tube and drive and ride for 25 minutes to accomplish the same thing. So all of those things, that experience, that knowledge, that training that we have are available to you, and it doesn't cost you any more at a travel agency and at Cruise Holidays of Viera. So for all of those reasons, we invite you to call us at 321-242-1331. We invite you to come back and listen each week to Just Cruisin' or view it on our podcast at our webpage, viera.cruiseholidays.com. We invite you to go there and sample all the information. It's also a way for you to communicate with us. Remember, your vacations can be very simple. All it has to involve is making one phone call, and that phone call is to 321-242-1331. That gets the ball rolling. Everything happens. It just flows from there, and it's a wonderful thing when it happens. You'll be very impressed. Thanks so much for being with us this week. We hope you've enjoyed our show. We certainly enjoyed being here with you. We'll be back next week with a best of show, and following that, the following week when we get back from our cruise, we'll be back with you live. So until we see you again, keep on cruising.